Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. You know, I say this is the year of the woman. I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it in particular because we know that when the world is in crisis, women come in, make things better, figure out how we all can move forward well. This is no disrespect to men, but this is the year of the woman. And I've been bringing lots of people on Dreamleapers to talk about the power of women, and when we harness that power, what we can do together for our community. And today's guest definitely shares my belief in this. She is Dr. Solanges Vivens, a visionary business leader and the founder, CEO, and president of Vital Management Team, Long-Term Care, Inc., and the Centre d'études classiques de Meyer Fund USA. Hope I said that right, Dr. Vivens. For more than 40 years, Dr. Vivens has revolutionized healthcare entrepreneurship with her unwavering commitment to quality, while also transforming education in her home country of Haiti. Her dedication has earned her numerous prestigious awards, including the 2023 Nelson Mandela Award and the 2024 Humanitarian Award. As an accomplished author of works including Girls Can Move Mountains and Educated Girl, Empowered Woman, Dr. Vivens continues to inspire and empower future generations of leaders. We are honored to have such an extraordinary trailblazer with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Solanges Vivens.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good talking to you.
Yes, I'm so happy to talk to you. And you come from a beloved country that has also been fraught with all kinds of challenges ever since your country was bold and bad enough to say we will be the first to free ourselves. And with freedom comes all kinds of mess. And unfortunately, a lot of that has come your country's way. And yet, there's a lot of power and creativity that has been born through your country, you being one of those people. Can you just tell us about the state of Haiti today? How are folks doing there? The health, spirit, vitality of the country, how are things?
Well, Haiti is an island, and Haiti has multiple provinces. Some provinces are surviving, and some areas are not. Just like the United States, just like every place else. Usually when people say Haiti, I correct them, especially because of the turmoil. The turmoil is mainly in Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince is the capital of Haiti. So most of the killing and all the turmoil happens in Port-au-Prince. That's where I was born, in Port-au-Prince. However, there are certain areas that people are surviving, and that's the way I would describe it. For example, as an author and a woman that empower others, I did a conference via Zoom with 40 women in a little island of Haiti called La Gonave. I spoke with 100 women au Cap, and I'm going in December to speak with 300 women that are in leadership and management, trying to teach them how to take control, because only the diaspora can help Haiti. We cannot depend too much on all the NGOs, because all they do, they get the women pregnant, they use the money and they leave. They don't do much for the country. But there are turmoil. When I was born, there was turmoil. If you read the book, you will see there was turmoil when I was born.
Sure.
Fortunately, this is the demise of our gain. We had the audacity to become the first African, the first Black group, the first slaves to become independent, and we pay dearly for that. And we're still.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people will read both your book and just in general the history of Haiti. And there's a tremendous price for freedom. We know that. And the audacity, as you say, of the enslaved people in your country to say no more. While they said it and have done their best, there has been tremendous consequence. I mean, the French created some crazy tax that has it been ended yet?
Yes, but we are fully paid.
Which in and of itself. That's just a whole nother story, which is kind of unbelievable. But just in terms of current events, Dr. Vivens, we are in an election cycle in this country, and unfortunate, untrue comments were made about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, that have created danger for people in this country of Haitian descent. And unfortunately, words matter. Words do matter. And again, there's been a lot of threats of violence. What are Haitian Americans doing to support the folks of Springfield, Ohio at this time?
Well, what we try to do, for one, is to turn the narrative. We try to change the narrative a whole lot by talking about all the positive things that Haitians have done and are still doing, so that when you point one finger, there are three fingers looking at you. And I think the people that are pointing fingers in Ohio or on Haiti, they need to take a look at themselves and see what seeds that they are planting. And you can't tell me you're talking bad about foreigners and you're sleeping with foreigners.
Ooh. Sleeping with, marrying, all of the above. I love your frankness. And we, history moves slowly in some ways, and yet when I think about your story, you see there are a number of things that you talk about in your book, but your parents had the understanding that you, as one of 13 children, I believe, in order to be protected from those who might harm a young, innocent girl, they sent you to America and said, do not come home on your 2-month visa, was it? A 2-month visa, and said, don't come home. And I mean, while you were 19 years old, like my daughter is now about to be 21. I cannot imagine, while she certainly could do it, she's strong, but I can't imagine, like, for your parents to push you and say, you have to leave in order to survive. That's a very difficult thing for a parent to do. Can you tell us what you know about that decision making and why they believe that you, Solange, could do it?
Well, I was a bad girl. Let's put it.
Oh, no.
I was a little badass little girl from the time I was young. And I had a set of mouth that they knew that one of those Totomacout was going to kill me. They knew it because I used to say it at the house. I used to say, if one of them touch me, he's going to kill me because I am not going to blah, blah, blah. So my parents knew what they had to deal with. I have 2 older sisters that they didn't send, and they sent me because they figured the others will survive, but not that one.
Because you were too outspoken.
I was very, up to now, I just told you who they're sleeping with. So
you did. So it started young. Starting very young,
I had a mouth.
And so you come to this country at 19 years old. I just want to say contextually, we know a bit about poverty in this country. There certainly is poverty in the 50 states of the United States. And yet there's a different kind of poverty in Haiti and in many countries around the world. You speak in your book about growing up poor. And I'd like for you to explain describe to us what poor meant, and what did you come to this country with, and how did you survive?
Well, when I say poor, that means that my mom never worked in her life. My mom was the very first executive that I have ever met, because my dad would give her $5 and she will use those $5 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all of us. So she could manage money and she could manage the house. That was her business, was to manage us with very little, and she was able to do it. And my dad was a chauffeur to begin with. And in Haiti, being a chauffeur at that time in the 40s, the 30s, the 40s was a big deal, And he managed to raise all of us, and all of us end up with an education in America. But when I was sent to America on a 2 month visa, I came in. I have a sister who was already in America, and I ended up working in factories. In New York City was the garment district they used
Oh
to call,
yeah, still is.
and all of us Caribbean, not Haitian, but Caribbean. When we came from the Caribbean, we usually work at white people's home, and that
Right.
was a mean to an end. That was the way to get what they used to call a green card. To
Yes, it's still that's it. Yep.
We needed to get a green card in order for you to be able to be legal in the country. So I did that too. I worked at some white people's home, but they were the best white people ever. I was very lucky. They treated me just like I was one of them. They were young, they were in their 30s, and they were very rich. So once I got to the Silverman, Tyler Perry did not teach me the haves and the have-nots.
You lived it.
I lived the haves and the have-not, because I left home where we were the have-not, and then I went to the Silverman where they had a chauffeur, they had somebody to come to cook, they had somebody to clean, and they have me, the nanny, to take care of the kids. So I was in heaven, by the way. They traveled with me, and I tasted being rich, and I pledged that I was going to be rich one day.
So you got to see that early on. That is so in American culture at the same time period and earlier, many Black Americans worked in domestic service. It's not so much now. Now it's other ethnic groups, but in those early days, people working as housekeepers, as nannies, chauffeurs, they were often African Americans. My grandmother was a domestic worker until she was 93 years old. she, she had a third grade education, I think, and that was her job. And just like you described loving the Silvermans, she loved those families and took care of them as if they were her own. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And when you work for people and with people who respect you, then you can grow in a beautiful way, which it sounds like you did. But when your growth was, okay, I don't want to keep this job. I want to have that wealth so that I can live this type of life. And that dream was so important to you, and it ended up being something that you made happen. So Dr. Vivens, this show is called Dreamleapers. It's all about helping people to access and activate their dreams, to believe it, and then to work to make it happen. And so I want to remind folks that this is where we are. We're at Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole, and we are talking to someone who has dreamed and worked to make her vision happen. She is Dr. Solanges Vivens. Her book, Girls Can Move Mountains, Rewriting the Rules of Female Entrepreneurship. Really powerful book, chock full of great ideas to help you make your dreams come true, just as she has made her own. And so I want to congratulate you on writing this book, because it really does give a blueprint, both of your life and of things that other people can do. So Dr. Vivens, when you were working for that family, at what point did you begin to activate your dream?
Okay. In Haiti, I used to admire nurses, because the nurses used to walk around with their cap, or that cap. They don't wear cap anymore. The whole thing was to wear the cap, to earn the cap. And I used to see those nurses on the street walking with their white uniform, very starchy white, and the white cap. And I always wanted to be a nurse. Then my dad sent my older sister to Canada to become a nurse. And she's the one that sent for me, because my parents, of course, couldn't afford all of this. So she sent for me, and I came, and she was a nurse. I used to take her cap, standing in front of the mirror, putting her cap on, dreaming one day to earn my own cap. And I got with me to the Silverman. And when I went to Haiti, back home to get my green card, I came back and I went straight to the Silverman. I didn't have to. As a matter of fact, someone looked at me and said, "You love being a maid. That's the reason you went back to the Silverman." It did hurt, but that was a catalyst as well, because you need to, young people, learn to take every negative and turn it into a positive.
Absolutely. Yep.
I want to show this person, no, 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 honey. It's not that I love being a maid. It's that I love looking at where I'm heading. I was focused. In my book, I talk about being focused. So I love being focused. No matter what I'm doing, I'm focused on it. So I focused into nursing, and I went to nursing school. Didn't get pregnant as a teenager. Did not take drugs. Did not, steal. Did nothing wrong. I was focused straight into nursing. And once I got into nursing, I took off and I never looked back.
Where did you go to nursing school?
Manhattan State Hospital School of Nursing in Manhattan. It was free. I had no money to pay for school. I lived in a dorm. I didn't pay a penny. I attended 3-year school at Manhattan State Hospital School of Nursing, and I got a $15 stipend every month.
Which back then mattered. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, $15. That was a lot of money.
And I want to address the Silvermans again for a second, because you write in your book about how, as much as they loved you, so they would have been happy if you had stayed. There are plenty of people who stay in these jobs for decades taking care of families, which is a noble thing to do. I mentioned my grandmother did that. But you told them, look, I have other dreams. I want to do something more with my life. I want you to know this and not be mad at me or hold me back. And how did they react to that?
Actually, Lynn took it very well. She was remember, they were in their 30s and I was 19. So
Right.
we were young together. If I start telling you stories, you say I told stories about the fun that we had. It was myself, the couple, and the 3 kids, and we were one family. We used to play music and run around the house after each other. So Lynn took it very well. As a matter of fact, she took me to go to school to learn English so that I was able to take the pre-entrance courses. There were a couple of courses to take. She drove me to Newark, New Jersey to go take the exams. Oh, no. Actually, the oldest daughter ended up being the godmother of my son.
I love that. I'm so glad you shared that story, because there are positive stories of people helping each other all along the way. So that's a beautiful one. So you decided to be a nurse. You had that dream as you were a kid, but being a nurse is hardly where you have ended up. You started being a nurse, but now you have your own company where you own your business. You have assisted living activities. You have an assisted living business, which is Nursing Home Plus, I believe. So I'd like for you to explain what your business does and how you got to starting your business.
Well, what happened with me is that I'm never satisfied, period. To date, I am not satisfied, because I always feel that there is another step that I can take. And I hate regrets. If I don't do it, and then tomorrow I would regret that I did not do it. Thus, and I was like this since I was a kid. My dad used to say, you're never satisfied. What are people to do to satisfy you? So that became the catalyst for me. And I became a head nurse. And I saw my supervisor, Miss Francis, was a white woman, and I didn't like the way she treated me. And I looked at her one day, I said, Miss Francis, one day I'm gonna sit in that chair where you are sitting. And then I became a supervisor at the level of Miss Francis. And then—
Was Miss Francis still there then?
Oh, no. She was gone. I was
gone. So you didn't get to see it firsthand.
I just move on. Then I went to work. In a nursing home. I was the first Black person ever to become a director in that nursing home in Washington, D.C. That nursing home was 90 years old, 90. I became the first person.
And in D.C., where there's, at that time,
D.C. was
Chocolate City, yes. It's not known as that anymore, Dr. Vivens, but anyway.
So, and we're talking in the 70s, by the way. So I became the first Black director of nursing. Then the assistant administrator position became available. I was already licensed to be an assistant administrator. They didn't give it to me. I applied for it. They didn't give it to me. I said, okay. I said goodbye. I went to another nursing home and became administrator of that nursing home. While I was there, the company I was working for decided they were not going to bid on it. And the guy loved the work I was doing. He said, listen, why don't you form a company, bid on it, and you can use all of our information. White people, I'm so lucky with my white people. We have some bad ones. But you know, you gotta say it.
But here, so I want to amplify this point, because I totally 100% agree with you. There are good people in every race, ethnicity, country. There are good people. And I actually have to tell you, I mentioned my grandmother before. So I want to tell you, in the 70s, so I was young, she was working for this rich white family. And at that point, I believed, you know, I was in junior high school, I guess, but, you know, it was the time of Black Power. And I was mad that she was working for these rich white people. And so I said, Grandma, why are you still working for them? We can take care of you. You don't need to work for those rich white people anymore. It was the Black Power movement. And I was, you know, being all Black Power. And she sat me down, and my grandmother was 4'9". She's a tiny little woman. She sat me down and she said, let me tell you something. Don't you worry about me. I love my work and I love the people I work for. And when it's time for you to work, your responsibility is to love your work and love the people that you work with. And that is just what it is. So I don't want to hear any of it. And what you're saying is important. And sometimes it's hard to have these thoughts when racism abounds everywhere. But the reality is it isn't in every experience. And there are good people everywhere. And if you have your eyes open and you treat people well, like one of your tenets is be kind. If you are kind to people, you draw that light to you, and you have proven it with your experience. So I'm glad that you have shared that. So these people said, form your own company, and you can use our resources.
They even left all the typewriter, all the policies. He said, oh, you can't use our policy. But you see what happened, talking about knowing what you're doing. They were good to me because I was hired to save them. The federal government was going to close that nursing home down. And I came in, and in 6 months, I turned it around when my picture was on the cover of the magazine.
Oh.
Okay? In 6 months, I was able to turn it around. And he said to me, we're too far. I think we were in Minneapolis or something, and the business was all the way in Washington. He said, we're too far. You're doing great. Why don't you form a company? And then I found those two rich white men who formed the company with me, because the government would never give me a multi-million-dollar contract. Who are you? A little Black woman from Haiti. They would never give it to me. But because I had two rich white men with me, and I was smart too, because I was always smart, I told them I need to have 51% of the company. They can have the 49, but for me, I needed 51% so that it could be minority certified. And that's
and they were smart enough to listen to you, and also they trusted you. So one of the things that I tell people, which so I'm hearing this through your story, you know, as people have dreams of starting businesses and, you know, being successful, it has everything to do with living by your word, you know, do what you say, build a reputation because you're excellent, and become excellent. If you don't know how to do it, figure it out, get the education you need so that you can be excellent. Because if you're not, that's the reputation you get.
Well, in Washington, D.C., they nicknamed me Miss Quality. That was to rub it in my face, Miss Quality, because I had two nursing homes. They both were 5 stars. And my business was on U.S. News and World Report for 6 consecutive years.
Wow.
My definition of success is what I teach people. It's my definition. Success equals preparation plus opportunity plus a little bit of luck, honey. When you look at my book, the 25 rules to live by, number 1 is luck. luck.
Interesting you say that. So let's talk about luck, because you also speak about faith, and people will argue with you about this. No, there's not really luck. There's faith. You have faith and luck in your prescription for success. So what would you say is the difference between luck and faith?
Well, it's depend on your own faith. Some people call it luck. Some people call it a blessing. Oh, I was so blessed. Oh, I was so lucky. Those two are interchangeable depending on where you fit in between your faith and no faith. And I use them interchangeably.
Well, that's smart too, because as a businesswoman, I'm sure well, let me go this way. A lot of people of color in particular talk about faith, at conferences for organizations of color. People often start with prayer and that kind of thing. In most other business settings, that doesn't happen. In most other settings, there's nothing having to do with religion, faith, etc. And your using luck and faith includes everybody. So for the people who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, please don't pray with me. I don't do that. I don't think prayer should be in the workplace, because there are plenty of people who have that philosophy. And you're saying whatever philosophy you have,
you call it whatever.
What do you call it? What do you call this great thing that happens? And acknowledge whatever it is. Say thank you.
That's right. Say thank you. Everyone. Now, there's one thing I really would like to say,
please,
is that when I talk to women, I say, your beginning does not have to define your end. It's very important for young people to understand that where you are today, that does not mean this is where you are going to end. We did not know when we were coming. We don't know when we're leaving, but there's a dash in between. That dash, young women, it's you. That dash is your life. You set the narrative. You write your own book. Don't allow anyone to use your dash. It belongs to you. So I want to make sure, because whenever I speak, I want to talk to young people to let them know, dream, and dream. But a dream always remains a dream unless you turn it into action. So it is, the dash is your action to will make your beginning, not your end.
I love that. I say something similar, which is endings are more important than beginnings. Mm-hmm. And this is in addition to your philosophy, it is this. You know how when we show up for a job interview, we show up for a date, we show up for the beginning of something. Mm-hmm. We present ourselves at our absolute best. We look good. We've practiced what we're going to say. We're selling ourselves in all of the greatness that we can muster. And often at the end of something, when we're done, we don't think about the people we're leaving behind. Especially if we're mad at them, we really don't think about it. But when you do, when you say goodbye with grace and strength and beauty and dignity and kindness, then those people who you left behind are uplifted, and they will continue to support you even when you're somewhere else. And so often people don't do that, Dr. Vivens. So often they're done, and it doesn't matter to them if they hurt somebody's feelings. They're just finished. And I don't think that's a smart thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I reached Washington, D.C., and I became a star. I became a star because I respect people, number one. Number two, I respect your business. It's your business. I respect it. I'm a graduate of Barbizon School of Modeling. I was a model in Manhattan. And in modeling school, the one thing they taught us is that you are seen before you are heard. You can have all the D's behind your name, but if you walked in and you walked in disheveled, people already form an opinion of you. And you can walk in dressed to kill and everybody think, oh my God, who is she? So it's important for people to understand that you reflect who you are.
It's beautiful. I love that. Hey guys, this is Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking with Dr. Solanges Vivens. Her book, Girls Can Move Mountains, Rewriting the Rules of Female Entrepreneurship. She has been an entrepreneur for many years. She's telling us right now about how she's built her career and how you can too. And one of the things in talking about Barbizon, and the first thing I said to you before we were even on the air was that you were beautiful in that yellow. And I've seen many pictures and videos of you, and you wear color. You definitely have your sense of style. And I love that you are willing to show up as authentically you, including and especially how you look, how you dress has everything to do with that. You know, it's that plus. But you're right. People see you before they hear you. And it is important. And I love the fact that you've just described, you know, every experience that we have is a building block for something else. So the fact that you went to Barbizon was an incredible training ground. I don't know whether it still exists, but it was so good for people. Even if you didn't think you were going to actually be a model, you learned how to carry yourself, how to walk with grace, how to sit, how to speak, how to shake hands, you know, how to have what we now call executive presence. And you learn all of that there, which is so important. So another thing that in your business story, because you talked about these wealthy people who supported you, they had to believe that you could do it in order to invest their money with you. Then after they did, where did you gain the knowledge, or who did you bring on board to ensure that these businesses managed the money responsibly?
Well, I'm going to tell you another theory of mine.
Please.
That is, I much rather have 80% of 100 than 100% of 0. So in business, when you realize that you are one and that the staff makes you, it's your staff, people, not you. Stop thinking that you are it. You are up here, but the staff makes you. So when I walk into the cafeteria, I sit with the housekeepers, I sit with the laundry staff, I sit with the kitchen staff, because I meet with the directors and the managers in business. I never get a chance to meet with this staff. So what I have done for business is that I make the employees part of the business. That's how my business grew exponentially, because the employees are part of the business. And I hired the right people. What I did in my business is that at the end of every year, I said to Scott, for example, was my CFO, so how much money did we make this year? And if Scott said, we make 200,000, I said, okay, we're going to keep 100,000 in the business and we're going to distribute 100,000 to the staff. And every Christmas, every employee, I had a Christmas party, and every employee walk out with a check.
Beautiful.
And if it's 3%, everybody get 3%. If it's 2%, whatever the money can do, starting with me as the owner, I get the same 2% that everyone else gets. Why? Because Roz, who's doing the check in the finance department, will go out there and tell them, Dr. V got 2% like everybody else.
Yes. Well, and you know, that internal public relations, so important.
Yes, this is number one.
Yes. And by the way, you know, I've noticed with companies that do outward facing work, which yours does, taking care of people in their elder years, often in their frail years, often more attention is paid to those services and the people you're serving than to the employees. But what you're describing, when you take care of your people first, they take care of you, and then the whole thing runs well.
If I want them to deliver quality care to the seniors, I have to deliver quality care to them. So I make sure the cafeteria is open at 7 a.m. so that the night staff that's leaving at 7 eat breakfast before they hit the road. And the day staff that is coming in at 7, they make 2 buses to drop kids at a nursery, at a babysitter before work. They're already tired just coming to work. So they stop in the cafeteria and eat breakfast before they go serve the residents breakfast. So if people are saying, well, the staff is eating the residents' food, well, if you fed them, they will not be hungry.
I love your, I mean, it's like obvious what you're saying, but it's not something that people often think about. Like, instead of saying, oh, they're stealing the residents' food, asking why. Why is this happening? And how can I take care of my people? If they're eating the food, it means they're hungry.
Hungry. They're not throwing it away. You're accusing them of eating the residents, the elderly's food.
Right.
Well, they're hungry? Why would they eat it? All my employees in the cafeteria, in the kitchen, they never pay for food. They never paid for food. They go in the cafeteria after they work in the kitchen, they take their plate, they go sit in the cafeteria and eat. None of my employees in the kitchen paid for lunch. And
they understood that they didn't have to. They didn't have to sneak it. It was just.
They all know, but of course, they all know that. The whole staff know that.
That's really smart. Now, I've listened to quite a few of your talks, and I'm just smiling as I've been listening to them. You talk a lot directly to women. And as I said, to me, this is the year of the woman. This is a time, especially with all the things that are going on in our world, where we need women to step up. And sometimes it's difficult. And you revealed something that happened in your life, a very tender moment that you didn't even allow to come to the surface until the Me Too movement came. And then it's like, whoa. You had a flashback to something that happened to you that you survived. I would like for you to tell us what happened and what advice you would give to women today who might find themselves in a situation like you were.
I would start by defining trauma. Every one of us have had trauma of one form or another that happened to us. None of us is exempt of anything. That's why the book talks about mountains. Life is a series of mountains. We go to peaks and valleys, and we're going to find ourselves in a valley, and you have to decide, how do I get out of the valley to go back to the next mountain? I was young. The lawyer was a white man, who looked just like Buddha, who was doing my paperwork. And
for your green card.
Yes.
For your green card, right. So just so people understand that the stakes were high for you. You were trying to get the green card so that you would be able to stay in this country legally, which is a lot of people right now are going through that same process, and it's tough. So go ahead.
So I went to his office. I had to take a bus from New Jersey because I was already living at the Silverman. I took a bus from New Jersey to Manhattan, don't know my way, went to, do paperwork, and he knew I was coming because I had an appointment with him. And I sat in the lobby waiting for him. Secretary said he was busy. Okay, he came out, tall, big man. He said, I'm going to lunch. You either come with me, I'll buy you a sandwich, or you wait here. So I got up, I go with him. I was hungry to go get a sandwich outside. And he turned one street, he turned another street. And by the third street, I had no idea where I was to begin with in Manhattan. And he opened a door, and it was his suite where he lived. So I ended up in his apartment, and he opened the fridge. There were 2 sandwiches and 2 cans of Cokes. So my boy had it all planned. So we ate lunch, and then he took me to his bedroom on a waterbed. Did not know there was something called a waterbed. The first time I knew there was something because I could feel the water under me. That's how I knew the bed that was on the floor was a waterbed. He raped me on his waterbed, and then he said to me, if you ever tell anyone, I am going to deport you. So I knew how I left home. I knew what I left home. I knew what my parents told me not to come back. I knew if I told my sister or Mr. Silverman would kill him. That much I know. So I didn't say a word to anyone. I took my pen with me and never opened my mouth, never discuss it. And I tell women, when you cannot do something with it, dig a hole, spit your guts out, bury it, and walk away. And I literally walked away from that incident until the Me Too movement. I was in the middle of writing the book, and I relived every movement that this man had done on me. I relived it during the Me Too movement. And I understood those women because I was one of them at that time. And I decided I'm going to put it in the book. And I did.
And hopefully it will help women today. Hopefully more women can speak up. You know, it's still a tough thing to be able to speak up, but at least you were able to tell us you survived this. This happened. It did not break your spirit. You still built your business and have built your life and have built joy in your life despite, you know, this incredible violation, which unfortunately too many women have had to endure. And I appreciate the fact that you wrote it in your book, because some people will just tell the good stuff. We know that's not true. Every life has, like you say, you climb a mountain, and in order to get to the next one, you got to go down and climb up again. Very rarely can you go across.
Oh, take your neck, honey. And
So,
let me say this to you. Some women had been broken.
yes.
Some people think they can jump from one mountain to the next. And they realize that they can do it, but they were already down below with a broken neck.
You're absolutely right about that. So strategies, what strategies would you recommend for women? Because that's what your book is about, for being empowered, especially as entrepreneurs. What do you recommend?
Well, the first thing I tell women is that you have two legs. Stop running 10 different streets at the same time. Number two, know the address of where you are going. If you know the address of where you are going, there are plenty of people. Even Google can help you nowadays. There are plenty of ways people can help you to get to destination. But if you don't even know the address, if you don't know, I knew I wanted to go to nursing school. And you could have killed me to keep me from going to nursing school. But once I get into nursing, I learned all the different branches there are in nursing, and I decided which road I wanted to travel. And even in business, in nursing, in healthcare, I still stay in health. I went into business, I had a school, I had a home care, you know, all kind of stuff, but I still focus on health.
Yes. And that's important, because keeping your focus helps you to be able to accomplish things. You know, a lot of people who have dreams, work with a lot of people who are looking to manifest their dreams. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. While it is okay to change, you don't have to stick to one thing for your whole life. But if you change too much, you don't accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm. 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 The key is, why are you changing? Identify the negative in what you were doing. Is it possible to turn those negative into positive, or do you really have to leave it completely to start all over again? You know,
yes. So it's self-evaluation. So what do you do? What is your daily routine for your self-care and building your life?
oh my goodness. The first thing you have to do is to love the girl in the mirror.
Yes.
Just love that girl in the mirror. And know that you devote all your life to make the girl in the mirror happy. Not your mom, not your dad, not your husband, whomever. Because if you are not a happy self, there is no way you're going to make anybody else happy. Now, care for you physically, mentally, spiritually, make you strong.
You have a statement that I heard you say at one of your speaking engagements, for which you received a long and loud standing ovation. And I'm going to share it. You said, behind every successful woman is who? Who, Dr. Niven? Wow. Say the whole statement for us. Tell us.
Well, the thing is, your mom might want you, or your mom might want you to be a doctor. Your mom might want you to be a lawyer, right? But that's not what you want. So you force yourself to become a doctor and you become an unhappy doctor. Or you force yourself to be this lawyer because your mom or your dad wanted you to do that. Do what you want. You will be good at it. And focus on doing what you want. It's that important.
I love that. Behind every successful woman is herself. I mean, I have a friend who says, give yourself a hug. It's the same kind of concept. If you can love yourself first, what can't you do? But we often completely lose it's like the air comes out of the balloon if someone is unkind to us, if someone who we rely on doesn't love us the way that we feel that we deserve and need to be loved. How do you pick yourself up when you're in those tender moments? Because even somebody as powerful as you, we know you have tender moments when you may not be feeling the support, the love, the whatever that buoying is from others. How do you go inside and find it for yourself?
I cried.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's okay to cry,
Yes.
There's nothing wrong in crying. Crying is such a positive thing because what crying does, it helps you to purge what's eating you up. Just purge it out. Just cry. Bury it. Pray on it. I wrote the second book that I wrote, I lost the whole manuscript because of fraud. Okay? Because of fraud. I cried for 3 months. I couldn't talk about it. That's how much I cried.
I can imagine.
And then I got up one day and I said, you know what? That pity crying is over now. It's time to write the book. You had it from your brain. You the one who wrote it. Nobody wrote it for you. Go at it again. So I started to write it. And when I realized it was taking too long, I went to a Marriott. I stayed at a Marriott for a month, left my house, and I finished the book.
And it's probably better the second time around.
Oh, it's good. It's juicy.
Juicy. I love it. All right, Dr. Solanges Vivens, everybody, the book is called Girls Can Move Mountains, Rewriting the Rules of Female Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and just your inspiring energy. I feel it, and I'm sure everybody who's tuned in feels it as well. Thank you for being you and for sharing your joy with all of us.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning into Dreamleapers. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.